Thank you for joining us again and welcome back to Explorer. I personally appreciate your time as always. Listen folks, we've been covering the continent of Africa from the strategic point of view, and it's important that Africa pay attention in how it deals with its global partners, because the complexity in the geopolitical circle is incredible at this time. Now, today I really want to look at this complex, and I think it's an unforgiving relationship that one of Africa's major economy, the continent of Africa, that is the country of South Africa at the moment, is bearing. This is not the first time. Mr. Trump, it's not the first US administration that has subjugated and more importantly put out South Africa there. South Africa does have its own challenges. Go back to the former administration under Mr. Joe Biden. The relationship wasn't that cozy. A number of experts think what Mr. Trump is saying at the moment, some of the accusation is leveling on upon the country of South Africa. It's just coming from out of the blue. That's not what it seems. If you look at when Mr. Joe Biden was in power, then South Africa was pulled back and forth as a result of its relationship with the country of Russia and China. Make no mistake, South Africa is an influential economy in the continent of Africa. I'm not saying South Africa is perfect in terms of its own internal challenges, but more importantly, we saw how a major player in Brics has come regularly under United States of American pressure. We've seen in previous administration under President Joe Biden then how United States senators subjugated and put forward letters to the US Congress and asked Mr. Joe Biden to sanction and put pressure on the country of South Africa. So this is not a one-off, as you all know. But again, the country continued to figure out this complex partnership. Remember, South Africa remains the United States of America's largest trading partner in the continent of Africa. And that still stands the same. The two countries made billions of US dollars in terms of trade. South Africa has always, like I said in my previous video, been a landing strategic spot for US businesses in the continent of Africa. There are thousands of United States of American companies stationed in the country of South Africa, and this partnership is not going anywhere soon. But again, it comes at a time when African countries must pay closer attention to what's happening in Beijing, in Moscow, in Washington, including in Brussels. South Africa's own position, go back to the Simon Town accusation that South Africa was supplying weapons to the country of Russia. We've seen how that has turned out so far, because South Africa must navigate this complex relationship that it finds itself. But again, the United States of America has made it clear that the country of South Africa should fix some of its internal issues. But again, we've seen how global media has debunked what Mr. Trump called a genocide happening in the country of South Africa over and over again. But he keeps standing on that particular point. We saw how Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio, refused to attend the G20 of foreign ministers meeting in South Africa. And more importantly, again, we've seen how Mr. Marco Rubio has said over and over that the United States of America's foreign policy will be based on US's own interest. I wonder how that interest is working in some parts across the continent of Africa. So South Africa stands at a point where it comes to a particular situation where the country must recognize that the US may not be as strategic a partner at this critical time in its history, considering its relationship with China, Russia, and more importantly, the role that South Africa plays in the Brics community. So we've seen those former senators, or some are still at the moment, who worked under Mr. Joe Biden, continuously pressure South Africa. If you've heard about the African Growth and Opportunity Act, an important trade arrangement between countries of sub-Saharan Africa and also the United States of America, that allow African countries some kind of a special arrangement to ship or export products to the US market in a specific kind of an arrangement, just put it in a simple term. And this trade area is something which I think African nations must not pay attention. And South Africa has over and over been called out that it's not supposed to be in this partnership. South Africa is not supposed to be a member, or South Africa should not benefit from AGOA. So this Growth and Opportunity Act is dead. We've made a video here over and over why African countries should not focus, should never pay attention on this kind of strategic business partnerships that are being formed which are not of the continent's own interest. Why am I saying this? I'm saying this because we are not hearing anything more with regards to the African continental free trade area. This trade area is like dormant at the moment, and Africans are feeling the pressure. A number of countries in sub-Saharan Africa who had the opportunity to export products to the United States of America can no longer do that at the moment. So this September, everything ended. So when Mr. Trump came to power, everyone thought that the relationship will be patched, will be some kind of amicable discussions and arrangement in a whole lot of areas. And more importantly, we saw how it all escalated when the United States of America, using Twitter under Marco Rubio, the current Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio, kicked out South Africa's ambassador from the country of the United States of America, saying that he is not a friend, he's not, he's kind of using some language particular. We saw how that blew through the media. So I think that was the beginning. And we saw how South African delegation went to the United States. We saw the extensive embarrassment in the White House. And the country continued to struggle on how it built this particular collaboration. But make no mistake, the continent of Africa must pay closer attention, and a number of countries across the region are observing the United States' strategic partnership with the country of South Africa, how it has put the country in some kind of a box. It is important that South Africa continue to recognize that it has its own internal challenges as they have pushed back over and over. But more importantly, it should diversify its economy, open to new markets. Even some complex partner or some partners across European Union you may not agree with, they may be offering an alternative here. So South African farmers are facing the incredible challenges at the moment. So they have to diversify to China, look at Europe, even export internally. So we've seen a number of countries, specifically in the Southern African part, who have come under tremendous difficulties at the moment. We saw how South Africa recently talked about its economic difficulties in a whole lot of areas as a result of the auto export to the United States. We've seen the 30% that Mr. Trump levied upon and all of the acquisitions coming from the United States of America. So South Africa must sit up and comes to terms and recognize that the U.S. may not at this time, not just because of under Mr. Donald Trump. It's happened in Joe Biden administration. The Russian-Ukrainian war was brewing, and South Africa was called out that it's standing with the country of Russia. And the South African administration once said that they are neutral, that they are non-aligned. So the non-aligned conversation was called out over and over in the global media. And that was a challenge for the country of South Africa to navigate that complexity that it finds itself. So the non-aligned stand that South Africa exhibited during that particular period, it never sat well with the United States of America. We saw how South Africa's behavior at the United Nations voting when the country of Russia came under tremendous pressure during that period. And more importantly, African countries have struggled to separate this complexity in terms of the United States, Russia, China, and their own particular existence. And more importantly, also that the United States fails to recognize is that Russia is a strategic partner of the country of South Africa. Irrespective of what you think, this relationship is not going to be going anywhere soon. And the U.S. must come to terms and arrange, figure out a way to balance this partnership with the country of South Africa. So Mr. Trump coming up again after we all saw that things calmed down a little bit. We were talking on a whole lot of other issues after the embarrassment at the White House. Now Mr. Trump came up again now and saying that he will not attend because South Africa at the moment is heading the G20. But Mr. Trump has said he will not attend and nobody in his administration will be attending so far. But again, experts say that some people at the embassy in South Africa from the United States may attend. But that's the roadblock. As we played it here, one of the experts was talking about that such a move is only going to derail this partnership further. So Mr. Trump using this word and coming up again. And like I said, I've cautioned the country of Nigeria to pay closer attention here. They should be very careful on how they go through this murky partnership. So South Africa coming again under enormous pressure at the moment must come to terms if the United States is a true partner to them or it's a partner of convenience at this time because the world is changing and Africa's largest economy cannot continue to face this struggle. There are internal challenges across the continent of Africa, but more importantly in South Africa, they have their own internal issues. But again, if internal conversation, like a country like South Africa's own perspective globally, cannot be recognized as a country that can play a role, then they are being subjugated as a result of their strategic relationship with China and Russia. It is an embarrassing situation because there has been a change in North America and African countries must wake up and start paying closer attention. South Africa must come out clear and address this relationship. Again, South Africa has been one of the mature partners. Others will say that they have not in this strategic partnership we've seen. But again, South Africa also depends on the United States in a number of areas in terms of the trade and export market, which is important. Make no mistake, they have a 30% in place, and more importantly, they are also facing difficulties as a result of searching for new market. But this country will figure out itself. But the notion that the current United States of America administration could look at South Africa as a more strategic relationship partner from the growth and good perspective and building together, it's a farce. So South Africa must come out and address this situation and move ahead with the G20 irrespective of what the United States of America thinks. So you are the one who is going to take out the leadership from South Africa and not attending the G20. It makes no sense from the strategic point of view. And trying to block the country from a whole lot of areas and not letting them exercise their global perspective. And again, very relevantly, not forget that South Africa took the country of Israel to the ICJ. That is really brewing, considering the current events between Hamas, Gaza, and the country of Israel. So the United States does not sit well with regards to this, and this is playing really difficultly in the hands of the United States of America. We saw how U.S. put the ICJ, International Court, under some kind of pressure, considering what South Africa moved. So South Africa is not bending, but they are open for discussions. They are open for kind of negotiation. They are open to talk. And more importantly, if South Africa still see the United States as a strategic partner, that I doubt. And more importantly, because the country of China is heavily involved here, and South Africa's position as a solid Brics member, it will continue to alienate the United States of America, irrespective of who is the leader of the United States. That's one thing that the continent of African leaders need to know. So South Africa, a strategic partner of the United States of America, a strategic partner of the country of Russia, a very strategic, high-level partner of the country of China, at the moment has to navigate this complexity. How do you build on this and leading the continent of Africa's economy? So it is so complex that the country of South Africa must decide who they consider to be a partner that they can work with. Leave me a comment what you think regards to the attitude that's been shown or displayed by the United States of America with regards to its partnership with the country of South Africa. Why do you think that this partnership is not going anywhere soon, and why South Africa should stand its grounds in some areas? But more importantly, the country of South Africa must observe and come to terms if the United States could be someone that they could walk ahead or do business with. And more relevantly, you will want to realize that the country of South Africa should have at this moment learned, because Nigeria, that should be a video for another day, Nigeria should pay closer attention on how the United States has ruffled the country of South Africa, and that could play into their own hands. And more relevantly at this time, African nations should be able to come out and cutting it clear. I will be talking about the country of China's own complexity with regards to its way it deals with the continent of Africa from the investment point of view and a whole lot of areas. But South Africa must, again, at this time, not going back to what happened previously, they must have learned on how to navigate with the United States of America. For now, I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.